Good morning, Fence fam. What is up? How are you? So glad you guys tuned in. It's always good to chat with you guys each and every week. If you guys are listening to the podcast, this is a live recording, recorded live. We do a live on YouTube and Facebook every Saturday from 10 to 12:30 Central. If you guys are watching live and you don't know, we've got a podcast too. So some of the feedback I hear, and it makes sense, is this live is long. It goes for 2.5 hours. So a lot of guys tune in here and there when they can, but then they go and listen to the podcast to basically hear what they missed. So if that is you, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, guys. Super glad to have you guys here. Let's go through, say hello to a few people while our guest is getting ready and prepared. As always, Project Metal Music is here early, as always. Hi, Joe and everyone. What's up, Project Metal Music? Good afternoon to you. I believe it's afternoon there, right? All right. And already on the ball. Smash the like, the heart, the etc. Couldn't agree more. Whatever you feel like smashing, smash that button. Or it's not really a button. You get what I mean. All right. Dylan Blanc, Fence Prince. What is up? How are you, Dylan? It's been a little while since I saw you. Actually, so after the interview today, so Nathan Downs is going to be with us here in just a moment, and he's going to be here for about a half hour, 45 minutes there. Then after that, we've got two announcements. We've got the July contest announcement, or the August YouTube announcement, where we give away a $100 Amazon e-gift card for simply performing a few different tasks. We also are announcing, so seeing Dylan here reminded me that we need to make the announcement on the Battle Royale versus the Fence Industry Podcast and my Fence Life. I think we'll see what everyone thinks about the results. I don't want to say I was surprised, right? But because both of them, I know both of them have really big audiences. So anyway, yeah, we will be making both of those announcements midway through. Also, stay tuned, because after the interview, after the announcements, then I'm also going to give you guys a sneak preview. Well, it's not really a preview, a early access look at next week's on Mondays, My Fence Life. Is it? I guess it's posted Monday, right? What did I say? My Fence Life. No, that's Danny Cannon's show, Week in the Life. But it is posting Monday, even though Monday is a holiday. All right. Steve Boy Billings. What is up, good sir? Good to see you. Good afternoon to you. Randy Carpenter. What is up, Randy? Hello. So glad you got to join us. Randy's actually local to me, so he's here in Springfield. Randy and I are both in Springfield, Sertoma. If you guys watched the show, this is the group that what would you call it? Charity service group. We put on a couple events. We give out a lot of money to the area children's organizations. Randy's a big part of that with me there in the organization. Randy, good morning. Devin McNeil says, happy Saturday, Joe. Checking in from Arizona. Devin, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. As always, Jeremy's here. Hello, Fence fam. Hello, Jeremy. All right. Now that we've gotten everyone checked in and said hello to, let's bring on Nathan Downs. Nathan, how are you, sir?
I'm great, buddy. How you doing, man?
Good, good. I am jealous of your office, sir.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
You've done really well on that. How are things at Radius?
Good. Staying busy, man. I mean, it's that time of year, got all the kids back to school, and now we're kind of doing our second wave of end of summer buys and stuff like that. And then usually in our market, I'm trying to adjust my camera here and stuff. In our market, it usually picks up pretty decent through September. And then going like at the end of the month when the state fair comes to town, everybody decides they would rather spend all their money at the state fair than on a fence. And then going into the holidays and stuff, you have all the year-end projects, whether it's commercial, spending year-end capital, or you have individuals that are like, I do have my mom and dad, my grandma and grandpa, all these people coming for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, want to spruce this thing up, make sure that curb appeal looks real good when the whole family comes out. So yeah, just, normal stuff, man, kicking along, buddy.
There you go. There you go. I love it. Yeah, no, it's an interesting conversation about timing because there for a while, it seemed like just before Thanksgiving that the taps would just turn off. And then it would just kind of go into winter mode until probably late February-ish. Depends on which home show went off first on, late February, early March, thereabouts.
Early March, yeah.
But you're right. It seems like lately I think people are traveling more again and seeing family, and everyone brings their pets. So that is the number one thing we hear, like right before Thanksgiving is, to your point, I have X, Y, and Z coming into town. They're bringing their dogs. A lot of what we hear is grand dog. My kids are coming. They're bringing the grand dogs. Like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. So we're gearing up for that also. A little bit of a lull. We hit a little bit of a lull right around back to school because I tell you what, back to school is wildly expensive. It is no joke.
Dude, my kids are getting older. I've got a 12 and a 9-year-old now, and we gave them a budget on like back to school clothes and shoes and stuff like that. But we told them like, all right, here's what you're getting. So figure it out. And my daughter had a terrible time. She's 12. She had a terrible time figuring it out, and my son did pretty good. He ended up buying so well. I was like, this is a good life lesson, man. He bought so well that he got a pair of Jordans at the end. That's the shoes he got. So yeah, I was like, good for him, man. I mean, he found some cheap deals. I'm like, this dude is like, listen, I found 3 pairs of shorts for $6. I'm like, where'd you find that? And I'm like, I mean, it was incredible, dude. But I was like, man, what a great life skill to learn. I'm like, I didn't even know. We were holding a little clinic at the Downs house, didn't even know it.
A little budgeting lesson.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Well, so also, Nathan, in addition to having Radius Perimeter Security, you're also the current president of the Midwest AFA chapter.
Yes, sir. And
how's that going?
It's going good. A lot of development in the market on the association level. We just got back from mid-years at the end of July. Every year, the American Fence Association likes to bring in all the chapter presidents and go to next year's Fence Tech location. And it was so funny when we were all at Fence Tech in New Orleans last year. Everybody was like, I don't want to go to Oklahoma City. And I was like, this is chapter presidents, not everybody, but about half of them, right? And I made a pitch then. I was like, guys, I promise it's not as bad as you think. And every single person that came, I think we had majority of the chapter presidents, man, they were just blown away with, the people, the environment, like, you know, especially down in Oklahoma City right now. I mentioned to Dan Wheeler the other day, like, it's all brand new, like all brand new, state of the art. So I'm like, as far as facilities go, I mean, it's second to none just because it's new, you know, and man, it's going to be awesome and exciting. But before we go, so Fence Tech 2023 is in February next year in Oklahoma City. But before that, you actually are aware because you're one of our sponsors. We've got a Midwest chapter golf tournament coming up here at Shangri-La Resort in
a couple of weeks,
Oklahoma.
Right?
Yeah, man. 23rd. I was actually trying to pull up my phone. I keep getting the dates wrong. I'm pretty sure it's the 23rd and the 24th. Friday, September 23rd, and Saturday, September 24th. We still have registration open. Anybody that's in the fence industry, period, you don't have to be a member of the AFA, whatever. You can actually come up to Afton, Oklahoma on Friday night. We're going to feed you. There's already over 90 people slated for the dinner that night. And then we've currently got, I want to say it's right over 50, 55 golfers looking to finish at least around the 75, 80 mark. So we're still putting together 4-man teams. We got a scramble on Saturday morning starting at 8:30. I've got all the information. We can get you a link to that, sign up for that, Joe. We can put in the show notes or something like that, send out. But man, it's going to be a blast. I mean, a lot of people don't know. I'm sure some of the fence guys have been around, but Shangri-La is really special to the fence industry, whether you know it or not, right? It's actually owned by Eddie Gibbs, who was the founder and creator of Ameristar Fence Products. Mm-hmm. So when he sold in 2013, he sold Ameristar to Asa Abloy. That was one of his pet projects that he had, man. I remember, I want to say it was like in 2000. Oh, if I said the date, I'd be wrong. But let's say it's before 2010. Sure. He bought the golf course. He bought the resort, and he had renovated the golf course, brought in some top designers and stuff like that, redid the whole thing. So they have 3 9-hole courses out there. Of course, we play 2 of them on that day. And, man, it's just incredible. The resort, they've just been sinking money into it. Major capital investments. Actually has a couple of other former Ameristar well-knowns. Barry Willingham's the president running the entire resort. He used to be the president of Ameristar. And then Bill Schenke, who was vice president of sales for forever. I've known Schenke since I've been in the fence business personally. And he's involved up there too, working with those guys. So, I mean, they got a great team. The spot is phenomenal. It's on the peninsula, the tip of the peninsula, at the largest lake in Oklahoma. The lake is, but it's a lake, and it's, it's big. So it ain't no Table Rock, but but man, it's awesome. I mean, just the facilities, the environment. Where we're gonna have dinner on Friday night, it's called the Anchor, and it's like focused on like family stuff. Joe, my favorite part of it is I'm not a big baseball guy, but when I'm into baseball or doing that thing, my 2 teams are the Cardinals, right? Yep. I was born in St. Louis, but my family's all from the Northeast, so I'm a Bo Sox guy, right?
Okay.
Been to Fenway. I actually have a brick that I stole from Fenway. They were doing renovations one year, and we were standing on Yawkey Way, and they had all these bricks, and I was like, hey, that's cool. Imagine if I took a brick, my wife's standing there, and I grabbed a brick and stuck it in her backpack, and we have an original brick from Fenway Park. I was like, that's pretty cool. Like, no one said anything. I'm like, looks like they're throwing it away. I'll just grab a brick. It was on the street. So they have a replica wiffle ball field with the green monster and all that stuff. Yeah. Dude, it's sick, man. I mean, if you've got a family, even if you don't, but if you did, it's a great place to drive several hours in, grab a hotel room, come hang out with us on Friday night, eat dinner. I mean, the pool will still be open. It's open like all night long. I mean, it's a pretty legit place and stuff. So I hope some people can make it.
Yeah, I didn't understand what it was before I went my first time. We had been members for quite a long time, never been to a meeting, and just it's not a massive drive. It's like a 3-hour drive from here or something, but it's still a 3-hour drive. I was like, I don't know. And then for whatever reason, I know what my wife was like, we should go to that. It's an AFA thing. We should go. Like, well, all right. Well, she was looking for a weekend getaway is what it was. I was like, all right, well, let's go. And then I showed up, I was like, I don't know what I was thinking this is, but it was not this. Like it's a meeting. I think what I thought it was just a business meeting. Just like a really straightforward business meeting. And there is that, but it's also a night of networking with all of the other fence professionals throughout the Midwest. That was the moment, my aha moment for the Midwest chapter meeting. Is like, oh, okay. I get to meet everyone else in the Midwest and talk about, a lot of things we talk about are probably national. You could have a meeting anywhere in the country and have a lot of these conversations, but some of them are more Midwest based as well. So, and you get to see people you haven't seen in a little while since you haven't seen them since Fence Tech, that sort of thing. No, it's really good. I've been every year since.
Yeah. Well, we're really blessed this year on the sponsorship side. We actually just this past week were able to get some additional sponsors at the higher end of the spectrum. And we got Master Halco, Merchants Metals, and Binford Supply all actually invest a lot into the event. And man, Joe, you know how it is being a new up and coming supplier yourself. That's important. It's important to me as a customer, as a client of theirs, but to see them actually, taking the initiative to lead from the front. And it hasn't always been that way. But we're trying to do something different. We're trying to create a different environment. You know me. I talk in our meetings and stuff like that. Like, I want it to be something of if it doesn't have if I don't get something out of it that is just above and beyond my expectations, I'm not going to do it. I don't have time for it. I don't have a desire to do it. Just like what you said, man. You try it on a whim. And that was the first way I did it too. I said, I don't golf. Well, now I golf because of the stupid golf tournament, right? So.
Exactly. Yeah. The first year they're like, are you, so we went to the meeting, they're like, oh, are you doing the golf tournament in the morning? Like, no, I don't golf. And I on the weekends, I don't enjoy getting up early. This was before the other two kiddos had come along. So we now, since, have been trained to wake up at the break of dawn to have their breakfast ready for them. But yeah, it's like, I don't wake up early. I don't play golf. So no, I'm not interested. And then I started picking up golf because I'm like, wait a minute. You're telling me I could have 4.5, 5 hours more with these guys and have more conversations. And okay, well, I guess so. What I did, this is not an exaggeration. I went down to Academy Sports the next year and bought a set of clubs. I'm like, I guess I'm going golfing. I don't know. I'm going to figure this thing out.
The process, man. Most people are always figuring out their whole life. So
yeah. That's what I'm learning. Yeah, it doesn't matter how much you practice or how many. Yeah, it's always a process. Yeah.
Right.
So let's talk about Friday. So it is a business meeting, right? So there is some business. It's also a really nice dinner.
Yep.
And then it's then like an evening of networking, right? So we'll be at the Anchor for a while.
Yeah, Anchor. We stayed. We closed the Anchor down. It's got a bar, an outdoor patio, fire pit. It's bougie. This place, you guys got to go on Facebook or on their website and check it out. You see some of these pictures, and it is very impressive. The facility is just top class for sure. But pickleball courts, basketball. We played a pickup basketball game, and stuff. But I think everybody was out there. We do dinner at 6. Have about an hour meeting. I actually invited Barry Willingham, again, the president of Shangri-La, to share a word. I know he spoke last year, and a lot of people found that really impactful. And Barry's a great auditor, man. He's such a great teacher. So I, definitely jumped. I texted him. I'm like, hey, man, what do you think? You want to run it back? And he's like, yeah, I'd love to. I'm like, all right.
Nice. Uh-oh. We may have lost Nate. Nathan, are you with us?
All right, cool. So, is that me or you?
There you are. And you're back.
Was that me? Yeah, I think it was me.
So he'll be speaking again.
Yep.
Really, really enjoy that. it's one of those things where then at that point it's kind of like a choose your own adventure, where some folks go play pickup ball. There's a pretty decent little wiffle ball game going on over at the wiffle ball court. There's like a massive arcade too. So,
dude, like virtual reality and stuff. I mean, it's legit. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Next time you ask Matt, next time you see Matt Warner, ask him about who he raced there at the Anchor before the event and how that race went. And
okay.
I'd just like to hear his answer. But no, there's an arcade, and then so you're right. We closed the Anchor down, which they're not open super late, but then they have that poolside little area, like a cabana type area, where we all end up over by the fire pit until who knows when.
That's usually a mainstay, right? As long as you can make it. I think we were out there till like 1 or 1:30 last year or something like that. So
so somebody went, what time do we got to be at the golf course?
Exactly. Well, this year we're starting at 8:30. We're starting to scramble at 8:30, so it's gonna be a little earlier. But man, I think you hit the nail on the head earlier, Joe. Like anybody that has never been to these events, or you have been to one, but you haven't been to one that has a real intimate, like an intimate back end and intimate setting. Like this is one of those places I think where, especially like with the, like you mentioned with the pool. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, because my kids are like if I bring my kids, they're going, well, we want to play at the arcade, but then about 9:30, we're done with that. And then I'm like, well, why don't you go swim for 3 hours? Because the resort doesn't care. And we're going to be sitting here anyways around the fire pits. They got all the neon lights in the pool, no, it's legit. So they're like, oh yeah, sure. And man, it's just, it's a great time. I hope we'd love to have a lot of guests, because I think there's no better place to learn to meet with people. And we have it set up where it's an environment, especially on Friday, where it's an environment where after the meeting, it's very slow paced. Like you said, pick your own adventure is the best way to explain it, buddy. I mean, you can literally do anything around that part. I mean, you could go fishing at night. The lake is, we're literally like 300 feet from the lake.
Yep.
So, there's so much you can do, man.
Well, and I won't say names, but 2 years ago, there's like a national country music rock star hanging out at the bar. Like,
yeah.
Is that so-and-so? Yeah, he comes by.
Okay. He has a house right there. There's some residential zoned houses along the golf course, and that famous country rock star lives right there, right next to the resort. So he meanders over.
That's fantastic.
So,
So, guys, just to reiterate, so coming up on the 23rd, AFA Midwest, Afton, Oklahoma, at the Shanker Lot, beautiful facility, great course. If you're anywhere in the area, you should make plans to attend because it is really nice. So we're going to do business meeting, dinner Friday night, and then after dinner hangout session until who knows when, and then we'll get up and chase a little ball around the golf course for a little while on Saturday.
Absolutely.
And then typically a lot of us will stay Saturday night too, because I'm not a big fan of golfing all day and getting hot and sweaty and then jumping in a truck for 3 hours. So typically we stick around Saturday evening as well to also meet around the fire pit once more. So it's going to be a good time. It really is.
Awesome, man. It's awesome.
So that's the first big event coming up here in just a few weeks. And then, as we were talking about earlier, the next big event coming up in Oklahoma is going to be FinStech 2023 in Oklahoma City.
Man, we're geeked out.
OKC.
23 in OKC. I feel like somebody came up with that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Man, it's going to be awesome. That setup next year for FinStech. There's so much movement. We had a great FinStech in New Orleans, Joe, but I think the momentum has just continued to grow for the association and for our industry. Look how much traction just this year alone we're making in social media, in just in networking in general, online networking, and whatever that looks like, whatever facet that is. Yep. And I think that's that's going to play a big key going into like what you're doing, the Saturday mornings, how many of us come in live or if we, some of us, like if we come in live, like even sometimes when I can't be with you the whole time,
Yeah.
going back and watching it and stuff, man, there's so much engagement, as you know. And I just think the market's right for the American Fence Association, really any association involved in our industry, to can just invest in and grow and bring that camaraderie. I think man, like what
I agree. Good agree. Oh, there you are.
I was like, how am I getting phone calls if I'm on Do Not Disturb? I don't get this. I know why. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. But yeah.
But I was gonna say, like what Sean King's doing with the fence games and stuff too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be an awesome build up to what's coming next year for sure, I think, buddy.
I agree. There's a lot of big plans going on for Fence Tech. So there's another one rolling around. Have you heard anything about Operation Stampede?
No. Tell me more.
Okay. Well, I'll have to. There's an announcement coming out next week about Operation Stampede. It's gonna fuse social media with at Fence Tech, and it'll be good. It'll be good. I'll fill you in.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So it's going to be a big year. You had said earlier, brand new facility, and the whole area is purpose built. It almost sounds like it feels like in St. Louis Ballpark Village, right? You've got the main attraction, which is the ballpark, but you have all of these restaurants and hotels and just entertainment venues surrounding it. You've got city blocks of entertainment all around it. It sounds like this is kind of down that pathway, isn't it?
Yeah, because I want to say it was about 15 years ago, Oklahoma City invested in what they called the Bricktown District, and it was an old industrial part of the area. Like you literally have to go under train tracks to get into this part of downtown. But they bought all the buildings, they renovated it, put a canal in, so they made it like a little river walk in San Antonio. And then they just built up all the stuff around it. Now there's hotels in there, and all of this is like 2 blocks away from the convention center, from the Omni, and all that. Nice. So all this stuff is within walking distance, and it's awesome. I mean, it's definitely a party scene for sure. So, like I said, we don't have, it is Oklahoma. There ain't a ton of things to do. So you probably, if you're going to party, I mean, you got to party pretty hard because, again, there may not be other options. The one big thing down here is, we do have football. So like today is a party day for the state because, everybody's gearing up for football. So
Sure. Well, yeah. So it's like I said, it sounds like it's going to be a great time. It's a great venue in terms of not only for Fence Tech, but also because in typical fashion, we'll have Fence Tech, but then after the show floor closes, there's some sort of after event, whether it's young fence professionals or it's one of these groups. There's typically an after event, like a network event after the show floor closes. So it sounds like there's going to be plenty of area for that to go on as well.
Absolutely, buddy.
Looking forward to it.
It's going to be great.
So, and we'll talk more about Fence Tech coming up, but yeah, it sounds like there's some big plans going on. It's going to be a big event. It really, really is. I think in talking with who's bringing whom and who's never been, but is planning on coming, I think it's going to be a massive event for sure. And the Midwest AFA is hosting it.
Man, dude, we're so geeked out about that. I mean, we've actually already talked to the American Fence Association about getting an area within, the main booth and stuff like that for our chapter. And just, we're, if you look at the states that we cover, we're Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas, Northwest Arkansas, Nebraska, we're just a lot of people, Iowa, I think part of Iowa or whatever. But that's a lot of people that love to share hospitality. That our cultures, we're very open, right? I think that's a great way to put it. Like, we're welcoming people. Doesn't mean we always get it right, but we're going to be the first to give a handshake and a hug type deal. And that's just kind of how it is here in the central part of the States. We're not, there are some other areas where people might be a little cold, or the speed of life is so fast. You can't take a minute to just recognize, man, hey, there's somebody else that, that I don't know. I should meet that person or whatever. And man, I think that's what is great about our state where I live in Oklahoma, is that we do just love to have people come here, because we really love to surprise people when people are like, why in the hell would I go to Oklahoma? And I'm like, I get it. I said that before I moved here. I was born in St. Louis, grew up in Michigan, lived in Hawaii, and then made it to Oklahoma. And I've stuck here since. Now, does that mean I want to move? Yeah, of course I want to move one day. But, as far as right now, man, I mean, just such a great place to raise a family. And then, like I said, when you see what we're doing down there and just the whole environment and stuff, I mean, it's going to be next level. We're excited as the Midwest chapter of the American Fence Association, just to share our, hospitality with people. And then hopefully, Joe, as you know, we're talking about a lot of different ideas and things that we can do at the show. I mean, I want to make it something memorable to where you remember your experience at Fence Tech in 2023 in Oklahoma City for the people and the environment, maybe not for all the other stuff that we get. Because when I remember New Orleans, man, I'm going to tell you, the first thing I remember besides Fence Tech is the food. That food down there was unbelievable. That is one of the best food areas in the United States. And I hadn't been there in so long, dude. I had no appreciation. As I've gotten older, I'm a little more appreciative of the food aspect of it, the culinary arts, right?
Sure.
But man, it was awesome. But even like down where we're at, I mean, if you want the best steaks, all right, you found it. Stuff. So, I mean, yeah, just that's what I hope that everyone can take away next year when everyone's coming into Oklahoma, is that they just remember the hospitality. They just remember the environment that was created, and you're going to be a big part of that, man. With where we're going,
looking forward
just
to
as a chapter hosted. So yeah,
I'm really looking forward to that. And I'll say this, they don't give away, chapter of the year awards. They don't just give those out. And so everyone can also come see what the Midwest chapter is about for that too.
Absolutely, buddy.
We earned it for a reason. So
Yep. I should have had the trophy in here. I can't hold it up right now. It's around the corner, spotlight. Actually. Yeah, it's around the corner in my lobby. So yeah.
Nice. So. But no, yeah. So Fence Tech, we'll talk again more about it, but I want to make sure it's on people's radar and we keep it on the radar, just because. Again, so my first Fence Tech was San Antonio. Pretty sure San Antonio was my first Fence Tech, I believe. And again, I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, I think that might have been mine too. Was it my first one? That might have been my second one. But so I started going to Fence Tech around the same time as you, Joe. I lost your audio.
Can you guys hear me? All right, well, I guess I can talk since now I know that I can hear myself. So Joe's having some technical difficulties, but one of the things we do over at the Midwest chapter of the AFA is we take in any of our resources that we take in. This is something we hadn't talked about. We do a lot of education grants and givebacks. Last year, I think the last several years, we've actually given $10,000 or more to different, like a Pell Grant that the association gives out for incoming students and secondary education and stuff. And then we also gave out a handful of scholarships to American Fence Association University, or AFAU, that's hosted every November down in Dallas-Fort Worth area. And that's a big important part of the association. Certifications, development, education, but also for our group, we like to give back in whatever we can in that capacity. So whether it's people going into college or industry professionals that are wanting to get better, we use those resources to really do that. We are a nonprofit. I know a lot of people always wonder, but that's what we have chosen to do with our resources. We also do every year, we do a handful of, does that mean Tingen? Sorry. We do a handful of different chapter projects where we've done like Ronald McDonald houses, like redoing fences. Last year we did a baseball field up in Kansas. There was a school district that didn't have enough money to redo it in the facility, the dugouts, and the backstops were dilapidated. Got with some of the vendors. They, had some people donate pipes, some people donate wire. We donated labor and all that stuff. And just, that's what an association is supposed to be about how can we come together collectively, grow together so we elevate. Joe talks about it all the time. Rising tide raises all ships, right?
That's right.
But the same thing with what we do as far as how we're giving back. That's what we like to do as our chapter, is focus on those things where we can make the most impact. So,
well, I think we're back, but we're
Apparently the audio doesn't sound.
You're good. I can hear you.
you can hear me? Okay.
You sound like Megatron.
I sound like Megatron. Well, that's Briggs says it sounds terrible. Stop. Fantastic.
Do I sound like Megatron?
No. All right.
Oh, there you are.
Yes. We don't.
It's coming back. It's very quiet. Hush falls over the crowd.
Oh, the cam link brings it down. Okay. So, all right. Can you hear me now?
You're good, bud.
It's nothing if we don't. I am proud of your time filling there. That was really, really good.
No problem. Anytime.
But no, you're right. I mean, I think that's an aspect that a lot of folks don't talk about as far as the scholarships, as far as the community improvement projects, that, these chapters, the AFA chapters, aren't just about having meetings, right? Aren't just about the networking. There is a larger mission to it, and it is leaving your community better than you found it too.
Absolutely. And if we can do that, Joe, and band together in doing that, I mean, how much more powerful is that? We get a bad rap. I mean, I've talked about this before, but we get a bad rap for just being who we are. I mean, like I tell some customers, like I told one the other night, they were saying something about, I was going by and getting a check, and I was taking some pictures and kind of doing a final walkthrough. They said, your guys are really good. One of them's a little rough. And I said, and I knew who they were talking about, right? And I said, listen, we start very often, we're scrubbing the bottom of the barrel of the labor force in construction. And we're sometimes grabbing these guys by the bootstraps and helping them elevate to the next level. Because I said, our point of entry and fence and gates is the floor. It's the lowest, right? You don't have to go to school. You don't have to do anything. You actually just have to have hands and a feet. Actually, I've seen guys that don't have two hands. They have one hand.
Yeah.
And they're out there digging holes. So there's no excuse anyone could do what we do.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
But my thing with that is we're trying to bring there's very often we have team members that we're trying to bring up into the story, trying to bring up to the next level, trying to teach them some life skills. They might not stay here forever. They may not work with us more than one season. I'm okay with that. But if we can invest in them and invest the time, help them make some money, teach them a couple things along the way, man, how much better are we going to be? But we do have very often, like I said, a lot of us we're getting labor in the labor pool where we're the convicts. We're the guys that need the fourth chance. We're the, whatever that is. And man, I tell you what, down where we're at, especially because of the way that laws were over the last 20 years or so. I mean, we have rampant crystal meth and all that drugs and now our state's medical marijuana legal and stuff like that. And all of these things play into, I would say, unique opportunities now with labor and where we're going. And man, but I still see, man, I always find, I have the gift of discernment, so I always find the best in the people. And I know before we bring somebody in, like, is this person gonna, is it a right fit, attitude wise and stuff. But, just we're talking to a guy the other day, and I mean, he's like currently homeless. And we're not able to do anything with him right now as far as work. But one of my buddies is a pastor. We're getting him like clothes,
Nice.
Donnie from my office grabbed a bunch of clothes that fit him from, his house. He's going to get it. We're going to get it over to him like next week and stuff. And I'm like, man, like that feels special to me, right? Like,
Yeah.
That I can't give everybody a job, but
Sure.
man, if we could connect people to get the help too, they're going to remember that. They're going to be that stupid fence guy. Those fence guys, like, who are, I love that crap, man. I love that. Just thinking like, I want to shake people's expectations of who we are as people.
Yeah.
And like what you're doing with your clay shoot, what we're doing with the golf tournament, like all these things, like on the back end. And I think you're right. We don't talk about it a lot, but that's what it means to me. That's why I took on being the president of our chapter, because I know I've seen personally that impact that we can make as a group. And I would just love for us to take any resources we could bring in and just, make our worlds around us better and make us as business people look even, that optics out in the marketplace, right?
Well, and that's the thing and that's why that's why we do what we do is to make our community better than we found it. But then two, to show others that it's possible. I mean, that's right. Kind of what I talk about in this Sertoma group I'm in. I'm like, listen, guys, if a fence guy can come up with some money to sponsor this thing, to send kids to Boys and Girls Camp, imagine what you could do. I mean, come on, join me here. But I think that's the thing. I think the fence industry in general has had kind of I don't know about a bad rap, but it's just not. I think it's not what people have a wrong idea of what it is, right? Yeah. You got a bunch of hardworking guys that like to leave something better than they found it. I mean, that's what we do when we build fence, right? We 100%. Leave it nice.
Yep.
So
good stuff, bud.
That's as the association in the Midwest chapter, that's also kind of what the chapters are about, right? So we take that same philosophy that we use in our companies, we apply it to our chapters in the association, and then upward and onward.
Absolutely, buddy.
There's a few people here that want to say hi. So let's see. Tom Frazier says, "Go Brewers." So I don't.
Hey, Mike. So I have to leave early because my nephew's at my house. He's a Milwaukee guy, so he's going to appreciate that, Tom.
So there's two of them.
What's that?
Milwaukee's got at least two fans.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Go figure. Now we know that
That's awesome.
Then my fence live. I think we all know this is probably Dan. Says so jealous of that sign behind you, Nate Dogg. That is.
He says that every time on Instagram. If I have any pictures in my office, he's like, "Hey, man, I gotta be honest, Joe. That is 100% Ashley Downs. That's my wife's doing.
Really?
This did not look like this in here at all. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put a picture up there. She's like, no. She's like, we're putting a neon sign up there, and I was like, all right. And she goes, you like neons? Shut up. And I'm like, I'm a huge, like, I love that guy. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
It turned out really nice.
And she ordered it, and I was like, I gave her the EPS, and I was like, here's the logo. And yeah, they made it from hand. It's pretty slick. I mean, I told them to put that color in there. They originally wanted to do it all yellow. And I was like, no, I want some color in it. Hit that strap, hit that dash on our logo. So anyways, appreciate that, Dano.
Kasurik says, Mr. Caruso, with Kasurik Distributor, says, hey guys, watching from Philly. Can't wait for FinSec in Oklahoma. Never been, but looking forward to it. I think that's a fair point. I think we're going to introduce a lot of people to Oklahoma that have never been.
Yeah, I guarantee it. It's going to be awesome, man.
Well, and I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised. I really do. I mean, that's so when we're taking weekend trips, we'll take, which granted with a 2-year-old doesn't happen nearly as much as it used to, but we'll go up to St. Louis, up to the ballpark, Kansas City, or Tulsa.
Yep.
I mean, Tulsa's got the zoo in Tulsa. I mean, granted, we're talking about OKC, but Oklahoma's got a lot to offer. We really like
the zoo. Hey, we're going, like, when we hang up here in a minute, I'm going to the Gathering Place.
Okay.
Look up the Gathering Place, Tulsa, Oklahoma. It is the #1 rated public park in the United States. Bro, it has a castle, a 60-foot castle, like a rope and lumber castle that adults can climb up. I'm going to climb my big butt all the way up to the top, go over these scaffolding things. I mean, it is an incredible. It cost over $1 billion to make this park. $1 billion. And it is it's 2 or 3 miles from downtown Tulsa.
Okay.
And it's right along the river. And on the back side of it is all the old oil mansions from the 1910s and 1920s here. So, anyways, I know the sucky thing is Tulsa is an hour and a half from Oklahoma City, but I say that if you're driving in, I mean, hey, Tulsa's where it's at. You know,
you should stop by for sure.
Tulsa.
Braden's showing me a picture right now of this gathering place. Holy cow,
dude!
Like,
it's
an adult playground. Like,
park.
I don't want to say adult playground, but it's a playground for grown-ups. You know, dang.
The best way to put it, Joe, is it's a free amusement park.
Yeah.
I mean, it's legit. Yeah. I mean, it's like,
but it's like a grown-up amusement. Like it's grown-up size. You know, like this isn't.
Yeah. Kids are on it, but I'm like, half the time I'm looking, I'm like, is that really for kids?
Yeah, right. I want to make sure. I know you've got to go, but I want to make sure. We catch everyone. So Joe Ismay says, for too long, the fly-by-night fence guys set the tone of your industry. You guys are doing a lot to correct the image. I think that sums up what a lot of conversations have been over the last couple of years. Is Joe put it right? Hit the nail on the head is what I was trying to say. When he said, we're trying to change the vision, right? We're trying to correct the image. Because there's a lot of professional fence guys. There are 100 times more professional fence contractors than there are these fly-by-night. But unfortunately, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? It's these guys that run deposit scams. It's these guys that do this and do that end up giving the whole market a black eye. So that when I say professional fence builder, like some people roll their eyes at that designation. They're like, well, what's professional about building fence? Like, well, probably the same thing that's professional about wiring your house. I don't know. Or plumbing it. You know what I mean? It's a professional trade if done correctly, and it should be done correctly. It's a professional trade. And there's guys out there. I mean, there's contracting companies, massive contracting companies that build fence professionally, but for whatever reason, we're still kind of viewed as these fly-by-night fence companies, So I almost said about handyman, but that I feel like that's disrespectful to handyman, so we don't want to do that.
Sure. I don't know how. I think Joe's right there. I don't know how we directly combat that. But I think if we just keep doing the things we're doing, you know, and then just putting ourselves, you know, I always wear a polo when I'm out in the public. You know, if I'm not working on, hell, even if I'm working on fence, I'm not gonna lie, I'm still probably wearing a polo, you know, like whatever. But yeah, there's a professionalism. There's things that we can do each in our own individual companies. And if you're just starting out, I mean, be aware, like have self-awareness of what is my branding? Like I have branding from day one, right? So
Sure.
like all this stuff you see here, I mean, you know, you and I can sit here and be like, well, I'm 6 months into this thing. And then you see stuff like that and you're like, what? And I'm like, but I had a plan. I had a purpose. Like
Right.
I knew that I wanted to have a business card like that. Like and then I wanted to have another business card like that. So it's got the foil and stuff.
Nice.
Like why I say that and show that is because that it matters. It matters the perception to the client. It makes selling a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
So much easier.
Well, and you're right in that perception is what matters. Right. You know, I mean, and there's other things that matter too. I mean, obviously you have to follow up with that, but
of course,
perception is the first foot in the door. Is okay. So this guy rolled up in a professional looking vehicle. This gentleman looks professional. He treats me professionally, meaning, you know what I mean? How the conversation goes. He gives me professional documentation. So I assume I'm going to get a professional product rather than, I mean, listen, I've been in this business since I was a kid. I've seen some businesses that are run less than professionally in this industry. Right. And I don't want to describe it too much because then some people will feel attacked for what I'm saying. But I think we all can picture the less than professional version of what we do.
Right. Jill, real quick, I had one a couple weeks ago, went and met with a young couple outside of town. So it's like a real far suburban house, big house they bought. I think they were like 28, 27. So a young couple. Oh. And I happened to be there at the same time as another fence guy. And I was like, and they're like, are you guys cool? Like, I'm like, I don't know him, but you know, that's fine by me. And I met the guy, newer-ish in the business, you know, probably he looked like it was somebody that really got going in COVID and stuff. But, you know, I just noticed he didn't have work attire on, but he wasn't dressed clean.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there talking and he goes off with the husband. I'm talking to the wife. We're on opposite ends. And she's like, what do you think? And I said, I mean, we're probably looking, it's going to be like a $13,000, $14,000 job. You have a big property and, you know, this is what it's going to take. Okay. I said, I'll get you some solid numbers later. And they called me back the next day. When can you start? And, you know, and so when I went back and talked to them and I was doing all my markings and stuff, we do flags and the white paint and stuff like for the guys. Right. Nice. And I was talking to them and they were both out there and I said, hey, I'm curious, how did it go with the other guy? And they said, man, so he came in at about 10 grand, but we were scared. Like we knew if we gave you 13, 14 grand, you were going to do what you said you were going to do. And they're like, and I don't want to prejudge anybody, but giving that guy $10,000, it didn't feel as safe.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can appreciate that. I understand. Sure. I said, and that's tough. And they're like, can you give us a discount? I was like, no, we have a signed contract. Like, we're definitely
especially not after that conversation.
Yeah. Right. But it was a good reminder for me, someone that's been out in the field. So I've been out in the field for 9 years. And man, I don't appreciate that, you know, as a business owner, as a salesperson, talking to people. But when you hear stuff like that, I'm like, man, we got to remember that. Like, you don't want to be, and it doesn't mean you're what you actually look like, but just how you carry yourself, how you put yourself together. Yeah. I mean, like this guy had a completely disheveled beard and stuff. Yeah, I've got a disheveled beard too, but I keep it low and tight. But if I have it long, some of my buddies here in town, they have real, I'm thinking of my buddy Chance. He has this real long beard, but he keeps it nice and trimmed, right?
Yeah.
And it's just because he cares. He takes pride in himself. He takes pride in his work. He takes pride in the job he sells. So there's that cyclical. And it was just a good reminder. It was a quick story, a good reminder to remember us when we're out there that it matters.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of what we're talking about. That other gentleman could run a really great company. They could do everything they say they're going to do. They could, answer every question and keep every promise. But you're asking these customers to make kind of a quick judgment call, right? To your point, they're going to spend somewhere between 10,000 his number and 13, 14,000 your number. They're like, I don't know, like which one of these feels like it's going to get done. His very well could have got done. You don't know.
Yeah,
but
sure.
They knew, or at least they felt strongly that going with Radius would mean that it would get done. That it would get done correctly, on time, no problems. If there were problems, they got handled. That's
Yep, exactly.
Perception is everything. I think that's a good lesson to learn. And that's what's going to take to, I think, to Joe's point, correct the image of the industry that this is a professional industry. We treat it as such. So everyone else should probably treat it as such too. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're not proud of these bad actors either. We are just as motivated to get them out of the industry as everyone else.
100%, buddy.
Anyway, Nathan, I know you've got big plans today. I know it's a big day. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me on, buddy. I appreciate you, dude.
Of course. I'll catch up with you later on this Operation Stampede thing.
Okay, absolutely, buddy. Sounds great.
Talk to you later.
Guys. Appreciate it.
Bye. Well, guys, thanks again to Nathan Downs taking time out of his day. He drove into the office for the interview, and now he's getting ready to go back out and spend time with his family. So if you guys see Nate, if you know Nate, tell him thank you for me. I really do appreciate the time that he put into this. All right, let's scroll up and check in with a few people. All right, let's see. I think we said what's up to Dylan. Yeah, we did, because then I teased that we are going to be talking about the contest. Let's see. Devin McNeil, happy Saturday, Joe, checking in from Arizona. Devin, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Jonathan, I'm not going to try the last name. I apologize, but I think I'm going to do it more harm than good if I gave it a shot. Hello, all from Veterans Fence in Northeast Ohio. Jonathan, appreciate you tuning in. Michael Greenfield, my favorite person from Nationwide Industries. Just don't tell anyone else at Nationwide Industries, but he is my favorite. Good morning from St. Louis. Hope you all have a great Labor Day. Two of my favorite fencers in one show. How cool is that? Go Cardinals. Man, Michael, I'm sorry. I should have shared this with Nathan when he was on here. Appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much. Tom Frazier. Hello, fellow, I think you meant DIY peoples. Found this channel while building my own fence. Tom, welcome. Appreciate you tuning in. He follows it up, says, I do have a question. I am staining and sealing pressure-treated lumber straight from the store. My neighbor says I need to wait a year before staining treated lumber. Thoughts? Well, not a year, but also not straight off the stack. So what I would recommend is getting a moisture meter. They're $15, $16 on Amazon. Well, we bought a bunch of them pre-COVID. They might be a little bit more now, but they're a few bucks. They're on Amazon. So they've got two prongs. It is it essentially looks like a small cell phone, two prongs on top. You stick it into the lumber and it'll give you a moisture readout on, is this thing 30% moisture, 40%? You're looking for something 13% or less, thereabouts. I mean, I've known guys that they'll seal it up to 15%, 16%. I mean, and this probably varies by brand also, but we use Stand and Seal Experts. They not only sponsor the show, but I've used their products for much longer than they've been a sponsor. 13% feels right with that. You want to check the moisture. So, and it depends on the climate, right? So, see, I don't know that you've said where you're from, but it depends on the environment, right? So someone was checking in from Arizona where it is hot and dry, really low humidity just in the environment. That fence is going to dry out much quicker than, say, somewhere on the Gulf where it is hot, but it's also incredibly humid. The answer is going to vary. So here's where the year thing came out is a lot of these stain and lumber producers, prior to people having ready access to moisture meters, they had to give an answer that would account for the wettest environment, the coolest environment. Worst case scenario, how long is it going to take for this thing to dry out? And they go, if you give it a year, it should be fine. Whereas if someone in Arizona, hot and dry, that thing could be ready to go in a matter of weeks. So, Tom, if you're still with us, hope you're still watching. Grab a moisture meter. Like I said, a few bucks on Amazon. You can probably also pick it up at a local home improvement store. I think we found a better deal on Amazon. And check the moisture content. 13% is where I like to see it at. Some guys are 15%. But as long as your wood gets down in that range of moisture content, it should be ready to stain and seal. Hope that helps. Guys, if you do have fencing questions, drop them in the comments below. We're also going to make an announcement on the Amazon gift card winner and the Fence Industry Podcast versus My Fence Life contest. Kyle Hamburg says, "Hey, Fence fam, what is up, Kyle? Appreciate you tuning in." David is with us. Christian is with us. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Christian. Alan says, "What's up, guys? What is up, Alan?" Joe's with us. We read his comment earlier, so we know he's with us, but he's with us from Southeast Texas. Dan Block says, "Someone said there's a competition between the My Fence Life podcast and the Fence Industry Podcast. So who is the winner?" Well, wouldn't you like to know? We're going to say that here in we're going to check in with everybody, and then we're going to make contest announcements. It's coming. I promise. Kasuric, we already talked to Chris. So we were having audio stuff, so I think we got that figured out. Got somebody watching from China. Hello, China. Walter says, "Joe, something's not right." Yep. All right. So we got that. So this is all during that span. We got it sorted out. David says, "Madison Fence Company here from Wisconsin." David, welcome. Appreciate you tuning in. Empire Fence and Netting. Good morning, friends. Good morning, Empire. I'll give a little bit of a hint on this Operation Stampede. If anyone knows the Empire family and Matt Warner, they know they like to name stuff, right? They like to give stuff titles like operation names, that sort of thing. So anyway, tune in next week. We're going to make an announcement. I guess I could say, because I'm not going to say what it is, but Matt Warner is our guest next week, and we will be making the announcement on what Operation Stampede is and what it involves next week with Matt Warner. Divine Fence Company. Hey, Joe and Fence fam. Hope everyone's having a great weekend and Labor Day. Divine, listen, I got to take a minute to shout out to Divine Fence Company. These guys are watching the videos, and I know they're watching the videos because they comment on almost every video, and I love it. I appreciate that. It lets me make sure these things are worth watching, I guess. Divine Fence Company, thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, Sudzio? That's how I'm going to guess that's pronounced. It's probably not the correct way, and I'm going to go ahead and apologize. Great show. Thanks from here in Ozark. Welcome, local 2 Ozark fans. Appreciate you. All right, guys. Let's do this. We're going to have an announcement. Braden, what do you think? Should we do the announcement on the Amazon? We got 3 things we need to do. Amazon gift card, My Fence Life, preview the video. Should we split up the announcements with the video? Should we do? Yeah. Okay. Amazon gift card announcement, video, and then the podcast showdown. That's what we should have called it. The podcast showdown. That is absolute, because if you guys should also be following these podcasts, listening and tuning in, which My Fence Life is not only a podcast. They also have a live show on Tuesdays, Tuesdays or Wednesdays. I'm sorry about that. But when I get a live notification on my Facebook, that's when it's on. They also have a live show on Facebook. And they've got, I say all this to say, because Dan's got this soundtrack where it's like that Wild West where it's, pow, pow, pow. Anyway, We should have called that the podcast showdown for sure. Anyway. Gary Green, hey y'all, Fence fam from Tennessee. Gary, hello. Stained man Kenny Dugan is with us. Morning, Joe and Fence fam. Late to the show this morning. That's all right. I met one of your viewers yesterday. Looking forward to helping her get started in staining. Fantastic. I love it. This is why we call it the Fence fam, right? Because no matter now, and let's talk about Fence fam for a minute. You don't have to build fence to be in the Fence fam. You could be like fence adjacent. Staining and sealing is part of the Fence fam. It's part of protecting and preserving not only fence, but decks and houses, but they're fencing adjacent. And Kenny Dugan is such a good ambassador of the staining and sealing industry in general. But this is why we call it Fence fam. So Kenny Dugan met up with one of the viewers and helping her out, getting started in staining. I love it so much. All right. First and foremost, announcement on the Amazon gift card. So what is the Amazon contest giveaway? It is a contest we hold every single month. It resets every single month where you can go in, log in, perform some actions. Basically what we're doing is we're rewarding people who watch the episodes, right? They watch this live because I give out secret codes. One secret code's Trident. You could use that one to log in to get an extra entry into the contest. You could I think you can like the Facebook page. You could watch YouTube videos. You can perform all these actions to get extra entries into the contest. And then once a month, now this is hosted by a platform called Gleam because I can't track all this. And I don't want to be the one choosing the winner. I want it to be totally random. So this morning, because I knew we were making the announcement today, I went on Gleam, clicked choose winner. Gleam goes through and randomly picks, and they picked a gentleman named Ben Andrews is this month's $100 Amazon gift card winner. Ben, thank you. I appreciate you watching the shows. Appreciate you tuning in all the time. Ben is our latest winner. And Ben, if you're watching, you should have an email from Amazon. So before the live started, I went on Amazon, got the gift card, got it sent to you. So you should have an email on how to claim that gift card through Amazon. New contest is open, and the link is actually in the description. If you're watching the YouTube show, the link is actually in the description. Now, if you're listening on the podcast, you'll need to go to one of the YouTube videos, one of the live Q&A videos to check out the description to find the link for that. But you can enter to win. Also, if you've entered previous months, you get bonus points, bonus entries for every subsequent month, right? So guys that have participated in July and August contests now get bonus points for the September contest because we're also rewarding people that try consistently, right? So anyway, Braden Powell has also dropped it in the comments right there. The fence, I'll read it out for the podcast viewers. It's thefenceexpert.org/September is the link to get to this month's Amazon gift card giveaway. Michael Bass says, Joe McCoskey has a nice wood gate he shared on YouTube 2 years ago. Is that something you will review? Sure. Braden, you want to take note of that? Joe McCoskey has a Woodgate video that Michael Blass would like us to review. We'll check it out. We've done a few review videos on Woodgates. But that being said, we can certainly check it out. All right. So we have made the announcement. Ben Andrews is the August gift card winner. September contest is open. Don't leave yet. Just later, once we're done, then you go and you do the sign up. Because we're getting ready to watch Monday. I'm giving you guys a sneak preview of Monday's Week in the Life video. Coming right up. Matt is front and center on this. I love it. I love it. Here we go.
Just kind of this way and this way.
Stay tuned in if you're wanting to see the results of the Fence Industry Podcast and my Fence Life contest. The podcast shootout. Is that what I said? I think that's what I said.
Way. In fact, on our saw, I throw it at a 25-degree angle.
Well, guys, vacation mode is fully engaged, having a great, relaxing time, reconnecting with the family. I'm really thankful for a team that makes it possible. I miss vacations so much after seeing this. Oh, we were like 2 houses off the, well, technically 3, because we were like 2 or 3 houses right off the beach. It was pretty slick. Cool for me to step away without giving a second thought as to what's going on back at the office. With that being said, I wonder what is going on back at the office.
Matt, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, what's up, man? Nothing.
Isn't it like the middle of the workday?
I was just measuring something. Yeah, I was measuring. Where's my measuring tape?
So I watched these shows for the first time with you guys. This is great.
What would you ask? What do you need?
What are you doing?
We're going to be welding a cantilever gate today in the shop, and just wanted to bring
While
you
the
along
boss
to
is
show
away,
you how
the
we
workers will
fabricate
play.
it, cut, and weld. We're going to be putting it all together. Stay tuned. Today's cantilever gate is 32 feet long. So we've got these long, heavy 2.5-inch pipes that we're going to be trimming up to exactly 32 feet. And this is going to be for a 6-foot tall fence. So we're going to make the actual gate roughly 60 inches. That way you got about a 6-inch.
It's a nice little cameo from Kai.
Clearance on each side. We got this thing on speed 1. Good Lord have mercy.
So what are you measuring for now?
Did you say why they used the bandsaw, not the chop saw? It was right there. He likes using the bandsaw. It's probably a cleaner cut.
Just marking out the places where all the other uprights will go. It's basically a gate like that.
Probably because the chop saw is kind of in the middle of the shop, and that was like a 20 some odd foot piece of pipe. So it'd probably be a little bit unhandy to get it to the chop saw.
It's 32 foot long. You convert that into inches. That's 384 inches. So what you do to find the right spacing is you count how many uprights are in the gate. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you would divide 384 by 6, or whatever, however many uprights minus 1. 384 divided by 6 will put us at 5 foot 4 inches for the spacing. So basically every 64 inches I'll make a mark for the upright. The big thing you want to look for when you're making a cantilever gate is that the top and the bottom rail are both straight, so that when it rolls smooth, right? So if you have some parts of the rails, the top or the bottom rails that dip or whatever, it can kind of cause problems. So I'm just going to start welding in this corner. I've got it lined up on the table here so that I know that my angles are good. It'll be a good tight right angle, and then I can base all the other measurements off of this 90 degree here. It's a video on how to weld. I don't have the gas on. Step number 1, turn on the gas.
So why do you do the little like bead before doing the whole thing, just to make sure it's straight, or what?
Yeah, you basically just, it's just called a tack. You just basically tacking it together. Just putting a little tiny bit of a stick on there. That way it'll hold, and you can kind of twist and pull on it. It'll stay.
If it's not square, you can like move it around.
That's correct. Yeah. So used to, and this only because I didn't know any better, but I used to make the uprights of this cantilever gate one long piece that would stick up like this and go all the way to the, and I would notch these things. Really? With an angle grinder. And then they would fit over this, and you'd still have a really big gap. Until I saw other gates out there made by other people, and all of them were like this. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, that looks way easier than what I was just doing. So could also learn from other people too. You know, I'm certainly no master. I don't know it all by any means, but I like to learn from other people. Seeing other people's gates or how they do it is cool. Yep.
Okay.
So 389.5 from one corner to the opposite.
Okay.
Dadgum. Isn't that what it was? 389.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
You can check the
That's-
footage.
Yeah.
If it's not, this segment's not going to be in it anyway.
Yeah. So dang, man. What are these things? Nobody knows. We have tried to get a hold of ancient text, old philosophers, to figure out why these are on the gates. What are they? Why? Just why? They go right here at the end of the gate. The ancient Mayans believed that that's just what they do. They just hang out. Nobody knows, man. No, I'm just kidding. They once the once the the gate gets to the end of the rollers roll along the top here, and then it'll catch this, and it keeps it from coming out of the tracks, basically. So I throw one on each side, and that way, whether it's fully open or fully closed, it'll catch, and it won't come out of the tracks. So we have a notching machine that'll notch the pipe. Sometimes this little bit thicker pipe, it kind of struggles with, but if you ever need to notch thicker pipe, you can use the saw blade, and you're basically aiming to chop it kind of at a 45, not necessarily a 45, but just kind of this way and this way. In fact, on our saw, I throw it at a 25-degree angle, and I will just trim off a little bit on each side and get the notched effect. And then you have a notch piece that will fit on there a little better. Certainly not perfect, but it'll work at a pinch. The secret word is cornerstone. Whenever you're going to weld a round pipe like this, or really butting up any pipe, it's good if...
So you actually got 2 secret codes in this live stream. I didn't think about that.
If you start with a tack on one side, to put another tack either on the opposite side, you can do 3 tacks or 4, or at least a couple on each side. If I was to start welding this where my tack is, what would happen is after it cools down, and it does cool down quickly, it'll suck it in and pull it up, and then you're stuck with a piece that's like this. You'd have to start all over again. So as you can see, I didn't tack that one on very well, but once you get one on there, if you do one in the opposite corner, it keeps it from moving this way or this way as you're welding it. We're also going to be welding on these nuts onto each square of the cantilever gate. We're going to be able to wire tie the uprights here once the chain goes on. But if you just wire tie them here, sometimes when it opens, the chain likes to flop a little bit. It doesn't really matter how tight you get the chain. It can still have a little play to it. So we weld these nuts just in the middle of the square to help hold the chain down. Scissors. Scalpel, scissors. I always feel like a surgeon. This is as close to a surgeon as I'll ever be. I pretty much just eyeball them. So we got all of the uprights tacked into place, and we're going to go through and finish welding all the uprights. After that, we'll go back and measure our braces and weld those in.
And as you guys know, I've got a live stream to put on. So I grabbed Braden to moderate said live stream. Luckily, Matt had a camera, continued videoing.
So we just got done putting the braces in this. Just wanted to give you a quick peek at that. We're going to be flipping it over and welding the other side while we're watching the boss on the flat screen.
Fantastic. So a gantry crane was a great investment. Makes flipping this cantilever gate over a 1 or 2 person job rather back in the day before we had that, it was probably 4 guys. It would probably take 4 guys to pick that thing up, flip it. So the gantry crane, one, makes it more efficient. Less guys needed to flip it. Also makes it safer. That way, if anything kicks out from under this gate, it's obviously still suspended and supported. Now, unfortunately, over the weekend, Matt came down with a bit of a cold, so we weren't able to document the remaining process of wiring the gate and finishing up. If you'd like to see that process, let me know in the comments below. And just like that, another week in the books. I survived vacation. Also, let me know where you enjoy vacationing. What's your favorite vacation spot? Let me know in the comments below. I'm willing to explore a little bit. So that is this week's video, or this upcoming week's video. I'm going to start leaving like little stuff like that at the very end to see like by the comments like who watches to the end. Then I will also know. But anyway, not that it matters. It matters. It does matter. What total view duration, average view duration, percentage of video viewed, they all are important. But anyway, so all right, the video, Braden, that we are looking for the Woodgate is titled. Oh, you got it. Put it. I forget that Braden's watching this right behind, so he already saw this. Anyway, those of you that would also like to watch a video, check this one out. I guess I haven't watched it. We may watch it in the future. Divine says, like the gate shop setup. I tell you what, it's nice. It is nice having a larger space to spread out into. We came from a shop that was less than half that. If we're talking about square footage, less than half that square footage. It was shorter. It was narrower. It wasn't as tall. Anyway, a lot more elbow room now in the new shop. But like everything, like now we've outgrown it. Or not outgrown it, but we are at capacity in that shop. So if we need to build something bigger than I think 40 or 42 foot, we have to weld it out the door. Now it's got a concrete pad out the door, so we can still pull it off. But anyway, you can never have too big of a shop. That's one thing I'm learning. So because we had to go get another shop for this wire weaving machine. Update on the wire weaving machine. It should be shipping this upcoming week. So I was on the phone with Burgundy yesterday, the day before. This week has been a blur. It all blends together. But recently saying that it could ship as early as the 9th. We were being told the week after that. So we're still in the same ballpark, but which just means it accelerates everything by a week, which it's more or less ready. I mean, we've got a few things left in the building where we'd like to do. If you guys watch the show, I think I talked about we need to take out a few walls to open up the warehouse part of it. We've got too much office space. Well, some of it used to be a laboratory, so that's not really an air-conditioned space. We got too much air-conditioned space that's not really usable for what we're doing. So we're going to take out one of those rooms. We're going to take down a couple walls, move a door. Anyway, still got to do that so that we can place the machine exactly where I want it. But that will be coming up this week. Now, Dan Blanc likes to go to Costa Rica. I've never been to Costa Rica. I would like to go, though. I think that's... I think I know someone that has a place in Costa Rica. I've heard really, really, really great things about it. Big shout out to Divine. They always watch My Fence Life's videos and comments. Well, there you go. Jonathan says, agreed. Gate shop looks sharp. Thank you. I will pass that along to Matt. Matt might be watching, but if he's not, I will pass along to Matt on Monday because he's the guy that laid it out, that keeps it clean, that keeps everything squared away. That is Matt's area for sure. All right, guys. One of the things you guys have been, I know at least one person here has been patiently waiting for. Dan Blanc is wanting to know. Well, and I saw Dan Wheeler here too, right? So they're wanting to know where are they at with the podcast showdown. That's what we're calling it. All right. Without further ado, the Fence Industry Podcast had a total sales of $1,023.82. My fence lot. Now this was close. This was really close. The difference between the two, $135.24. Very close. Very close. But was my fence life more or less? That's what Dan wants to know right now. He's waiting to find out if he wins, because whoever does win, I'm donating $500 to a charity of their choice. Now, I heard a few comments on this that they're like, oh, well, yeah, Joe's the one that really wins here, right? So because ozfence.store is a part of Ozark Fence, I do benefit from sales at ozfence.store. But I made sure I was not going to benefit from well, maybe not made sure, but I had a good feeling I was not going to benefit from this particular contest. So right now we operate at, about a 10 to 13% net profit rate. Now, net profit is different than gross profit. Let's keep that in mind. But at the end of the year, year on year, we're typically somewhere between 10 and 13% net profit. So by giving away $500, that means if we had made $5,000 in sales, we would, nope, that math doesn't work. $50,000 in sales. What? No. $5,000 in sales. We would have stood to make $500 in net profit. Now, the question Dan is still wanting to know: was it more or less than $1,023? Well, now I already said the difference was $135.24. So the most it could be, what does that make it? The most it could be is $1,150, a couple $1,000 in sales. So anyway, made sure I wasn't profiting. I don't want there to be that thought. I just thought it would be fun, and it would be a nice little, see how the contest goes. Like pit one against the other, because these guys are always, in a good-hearted way, they're always battling between each other. You listen to my Fence Life podcast, you hear them, particularly Dan talking about the Fence Industry podcast. Well, if you listen to the Fence Industry podcast with the other Dan, or also with Dan, I won't say the other Dan because not taking sides in this, and he's taking shots at my Fence Life. So it's funny to watch those guys go back and forth. Dylan says you should try Branson, Missouri. We have a lake house at Branson, but my aunt has a lake house in Branson. But it's like, if you're from here, you don't really go there like for vacation. Now, this is what's wild. So we're on vacation in that video we just watched. Was on vacation. Our neighbors, the house next to us, was from Texas. They had a massive family from Texas. We had a massive family meal. They've invited us over for dinner one night. We invited them over for dinner. Anyway, we're talking. They're like, Missouri. Now, these people, like I said, from Texas, kind of central to South Texas. They go, you guys anywhere near Branson? Yeah, that's like, we're about 45 minutes from there, Branson. How do you know Branson? They're like, oh, Branson. Yeah, we've always wanted to go to Branson. It's like, it's a really good place. And I bet you see a lot of shows, don't you? No, I don't. So when we were in school, they took us to watch the Shepherd of the Hill show. So I have seen that one. And at Christmas time at that Dolly Parton Stampede, they do like a big Christmas extravaganza. So I've seen that show. And that's pretty much the list of shows that I have seen in Branson. People, I don't know what it is, but if you're from here, it just doesn't have that same attraction, I guess. I mean, when we go, my aunt's lake house is actually, so Branson sits on Table Rock Lake or near Table Rock Lake. And another part of the lake is Branson West. Just south of Branson West is Kimberling City. That's where the lake house is at. So kind of near Branson. Now, when we were in high school, we would go to Branson, but not to the shows. Like, it's for, like, they have others like go-kart. They have really fast go-karts. And anyway, so Branson's not on my vacation list. I mean, it could be, I guess, but it'd be like a staycation. I think that would qualify as staycation status. They have indoor water parks. My kids do like going indoor. So anyway, I have tried Branson, I guess is what I'm saying. Boo Boo Bang Bang says, come vacation here in Nashville. I love Nashville. So obviously, Sand Steel Experts is right outside of Nashville. We go to the training every year that's just outside of Nashville. They're in Lebanon. The training is in Lebanon, Tennessee. Big fan. Massive fan of Nashville. Absolutely love it. Branson is to Missouri what as Gatlinburg is to Tennessee. Okay. So maybe that's fair because I have heard a lot about Gatlinburg and I've heard a lot of people love to go to Gatlinburg. So maybe this is the same thing. Maybe people that are from Tennessee don't go to Gatlinburg. They're like, I get it's like right over there. I guess you could go there. I don't know. I do hear lots of good things about Gatlinburg. All right. Contest. I've drawn this out long enough. Dan is probably having a mild heart attack right now until he gets the answers. Which Dan am I talking about? You don't know because each show has a Dan. All right. Fence Industry Podcast, $1,023.82 in sales. My Fence Life, $888.58. The winner is, obviously, the Fence Industry Podcast by $135.24. So, Dan Wheeler, I'll be reaching out to you to figure out your charity of choice that you would like the $500 donated to. Congratulations. Guys, if you buy fittings at all, I was going to say if you bought during the contest, I appreciate it. If you make purchases at all through OZFence.store, I appreciate it. It obviously supports our team here, our team's families. It means a lot to us. It's been busy. We have been blessed that business has been good in that. And if that includes you, thank you. Definitely appreciate that. All right, guys. If you guys have questions, drop them down in the comments below. Oh, no way. Oh, okay. So Kenny said a viewer. I didn't realize it was you. Okay. Sheremy is who Kenny Dugan met up with. Says, looking forward to working with Kenny, trying my hand at sanding. Fantastic. This is awesome. I like this so much. Well, Sheremy, you will enjoy working with Kenny. Kenny he's a really good person, but also he knows just about everything there is to know about chemicals. Maybe not everything there is to know. He is incredibly intelligent at what chemicals do what. He's a mad scientist of fence cleaning. I think we've said that before. Anyway, I think you'll enjoy that. So for some reason, most everyone's names pop up here, right? And it's not just a Facebook thing. Like Dan's name popped up. Empire Fence pops up. But sometimes, every now and then, it just says Facebook user. And I'm not sure. It used to be we had to say a thing, and there was like a link. We had to say, in order to show up, you have to click a link and accept some terms so that they can show your information on Facebook. I haven't heard about that in years. Well, I don't say years, in quite a while. But apparently, maybe it's still a thing. I don't know. But this is one of the first times I've seen this. Anyway, just tuning in. We're heading to Guatemala for Christmas. Service project for 10 days. I love that. Head to Guatemala. All right. Let's see. Congrats, Dan. Absolutely. Oh, Josh Rand was a Facebook user. Fantastic. Josh Rand's heading to Guatemala for Christmas. That sounds like a heck of a time. So there's a company in town. There's a fence company in town, a bigger fence company in town that they close between Christmas and New Year's, the week between Christmas and New Year's. And, their philosophy has always been not a lot gets done, sales or production or otherwise, the week between Christmas and New Year's. So they close down for the whole week, and they just give the team the week off. Now, they do it a little bit differently than what I'm considering. So they just say, hey, if you've got vacation, you better save it for that week, or you'll just have a week off. That's not fantastic because you just got done with Christmas. You got some bills associated with Christmas. So taking a week off work, not ideal, but I don't know. I'm playing around with the idea of giving everyone a week off between Christmas and New Year's. We'll see. I don't know. I'm going to run that by the advisory committee next week. Right? Yeah. Braden says, I vote yes. Thank you. Now, we've got an advisory committee meeting in 2 weeks. So I'm going to bring that up to the advisory committee, see what they say. But I have a feeling I know the answer. And just yet another perk of working at Ozark Fence. I'm part of the family. Now, these guys have been crushing it lately. I tell you what, I am so proud of this team. Just seeing what we've gotten done just in the last little bit. But anyway, I'll go into the whole thing. But we've got a big project. We've got a softball field in, well, I don't want to say where it's at, but nearby. Whole thing, outfield, foul lines, dugouts, the whole thing, and we kind of got thrown into some tight headlines on it. We were supposed to start a little while ago. They're pouring a concrete footer around the whole thing, and then we're plating pad mounting posts to it per the specs and drawings. Concrete was a bit behind. Now, I'm not a concrete guy, so I don't know, but it doesn't seem like concrete should have been behind because we haven't had a particularly wet summer. It's been incredibly dry up until like this week. Now, this week it has rained. What day did it flood? Was that Monday? Tuesday? Monday. I think it's Monday. We got 4 inches in like an hour and a half. I mean, the heavens opened up and dumped water out. I'm pretty sure it was Monday. Anyway, Monday or Tuesday. So, and then again, yesterday, it rained off and on pretty much all day. So now we are getting rain now, but that has nothing to do with the concrete being a month behind. But it's a softball field. It's a softball. It's one field in a softball complex, or sports complex. Anyway, they're wanting to hold tournaments. They've got fall tournaments coming up, right? And they said, listen, we've got to fix the outfield and they knew this was coming. All the equipment to dig and form and pour the concrete has made quite a mess in the outfield. We got to fix the outfield. We're going to upgrade the infield. They had some work to do yet. So they said, we need you guys to be done. That way, all the equipment's off. We need it done as quickly as possible. So the fabrication team was here till, I think it was 6:30 or 7 Thursday night. The install team, Victor and Abe, they were out there pretty much dawn to dusk on Thursday. Now rain Friday delayed it. They'll be doing dawn to dusk again on Tuesday, try to knock that thing out. So team's been amazing. That's kind of what leads to this, right? I was like, all right, so let's talk about some rewards for a job well done for the year. Now those guys, the fabrication guys, they all went and did lunch yesterday. I sent them out to the barbecue, one of the local barbecue places, for some lunch, just to say thank you for sticking it out and make sure it got done. I'm not sure who Dan Bland is, but it's probably Dan Blanc. Maybe not. Maybe he's using anonymity so that when it happens. Okay. Dan Bland is headed to Fulton, Illinois to kick Dan Wheeler's butt since he kicked ours in this contest. There you go. All right. Maybe we do a contest version 2. Maybe not right away, but no, never mind. There's probably some issues. Well, let's figure that out. Let's figure this out. Do a contest version 2, but one that will not, the one that will be okay with your sponsors. Boo Boo Bang Bang. I always feel funny saying that name. Joe, as a consumer, how do we best prevent being scammed by folks representing themselves as fence contractors? Recently got burned out of $15K, and now he had no business license. So that's where you start, is the business license. So you can the city or municipality where the contractor is based out of, they need to have a business license there. They also need to have if you live in a different municipality, they need to hold a business license there as well. So for example, I live in a suburb of Springfield called Republic, and if Ozark Fence does business in Republic, we need to have a business license in Springfield to keep our operations running, right? We also need to have a business license in Republic because technically we're doing business in that town. Now, the cities typically keep a pretty good eye on that because to pull a permit, you have to be licensed, right? So now that gets into a whole discussion on fence permits. We do pull fence permits. Some people don't agree with that, but it is what it is. So when the fence permit gets pulled, they would see that Ozark Fence does not hold a business license. So they would call and remind us, hey, you need a business license. Now, that being said, we hold, I don't even know how many business licenses we hold. Several dozen. Nah, maybe not several dozen. A dozen or maybe a little bit more business license because we got Springfield, Ozark, Nixa, Republic, Willard, Stratford, Rogersville, Marshfield, Branson, Kimberling City. So we're at 10. I'm probably forgetting a few, a dozen plus or minus. We got a dozen or so business licenses just because we do business in all these little townships. Sometimes we do one-off business licenses, right? So we did work at this place called Seneca, which is a fair drive. It's not in our service area, our typical service area, except for this was like a 13, 14,000 foot job. So we will go to Seneca if you need about 13,000 foot of fence. But in that instance, we had to get they don't call them one time, but we just got a 1 year business license for that project. And it just didn't renew it until we're back there doing work. If we find ourselves back there, business license, first place to start. Then you hold a business license in the town that they're from. So wherever their address is from, they need to hold a business license there. They also need to hold a business license in your town if those two places are not the same. You can check review sites, Better Business Bureau. I'm hesitant to really send you down that path of Better Business Bureau because they really like to push accredited versus unaccredited, which please understand the difference between accredited and unaccredited is about $800 a year. So if you pay them, then you get accredited. And now I saw this happen. This is my experience. I saw this happen. There was a fencing contractor, a pretty big outfit, they had a bad ranking. And so this is like A through F, right? So imagine if you had a test at school and you almost failed it, where would you be? That was about where their ranking was, right? Well, then what do you know? Lo and behold, they joined the BBB. So they paid them this $800 or $900, A+ ranking. And those two negative reviews went away. Interesting, I thought to myself. So that's when it became really apparent exactly what, at least in our area, what Better Business Bureau is. Now, in other areas, it could be different. Look, I'm not looking for them to come sue me for slander, but this is something I am sharing with you, my experience on one episode here in town. But that's where I started forming this opinion, though, right? I was like, oh, okay. And if you've we've been a member for, I couldn't tell you how long, but if you let your membership lapse, now all of a sudden your rank goes away or your rank drops and you go in as unaccredited. And they make unaccredited sound very scary. They're like, well, we know about them, but we don't know about them. Like, you should do your own research. We just know they exist. They might not be who they say they are. It's like, well, okay, so you're going to scare people away from a business that says unaccredited. Anyway, you also check Facebook, Google. Facebook and Google would probably be my other two places to send you. Just looking for feedback. If they have a Facebook page, that'd be a good place to start. A lot of times they don't, though. So, which doesn't necessarily raise a red flag, though, right? So if you're a new startup, if you're just starting a fence company, you may not have a Facebook page. It's probably not at the top of your to-do list immediately as you're getting this thing going. Google, same thing. Your Google My Business listing, while it is massively important, it's one of the first things I think a contractor should do. It's not on the top of their list. So just because they don't have a Google or Facebook page, Google My Business or Facebook page, that's not necessarily a red flag either. Now, that could certainly give you indications that green flag is that a thing. They could certainly give you good indications, positive indications. If you're talking to a company that has a Facebook page they don't do star rankings anymore, which is kind of weird. They just say recommend or not recommend. But you can also go to the community tab and see what others are posting on this business's page. You can also read reviews. So even if they say, recommend, not recommend, you can still leave feedback. So you can check it there. Same thing with Google. You can check Better Business Bureau because they will give them a rating, right? So, and you can also read feedback. But Facebook to a degree, Google will not let you modify reviews. So if someone, which is a double-edged sword there. So, for example, we had someone this week leave us a 1-star review. No feedback, just 1 star. And it was a very unique name. So we just searched our CRM, not there. We searched our call logs. So the call center logs all the calls. Nothing in the call center, to where we checked our My Salesman link to see if someone with this name had filled out a quote tool, and just this person didn't exist in our ecosystem. So they had never reached out. They had never gotten a quote, much less we had never done work for them. But there sits a 1-star review. Now, we can report it as like suspicious or spam or something like that, but the likelihood, and we'll include all that information. Hey, not a client, never called, not even a potential client. More likely than not, it won't come down. It'll just stay there. And so you try to bury it with more 5 and 4-star reviews. But so in terms of looking at reviews, start at Google. So Facebook to a certain extent, but on Facebook, you can get some kind of malicious reviews there too, just because they don't like something that someone associated with the business is posted. Now, luckily, we haven't had that experience, but I've seen that happen to businesses where, and it's not even the owner, but someone associated with the business made a comment on Facebook, like in one of these welcome to Springfield groups or something. Someone clicks on the profile, clicks on works at, there's a company, then they leave just scathing negative feedback. It's like, well, that's not fair to the company at all. But on Facebook, sometimes they will let you protest that, and they're a little bit more lenient on removing stuff that is just blatantly unrelated to the business, whereas Google can't really even do that. So business license, ask for reviews or check out reviews. Ask for references and check them, like actually go by. And so for references, typically what I would ask for, 3 recent within the year and 3 not recent, more than 5 years. That way it gives you an idea, one, if they've been around for a while, can they give you 3 addresses that are more than 5 years? So let you know how it looks in the beginning, less than a year. Also let you know what this thing could look like long term, because that's really where workmanship starts to shine, right? So day one, you can hide a lot of cut corners on day one. Year 5, a lot of those start coming to the surface. So 3 less than a year, 3 more than 5 years. Certificate of insurance is another. So ask for their certificate of insurance. It's a completely common request. So it's something that we get quite often. We forward it to our insurance agent. They produce a certificate of insurance to that individual and names them. Well, it depends on the situation, but it can name them if we're actually doing the work for them. Or we'll have a sample. If it's someone that is considering us, we'll give them our sample certificate of insurance. Just again, to prove that they are who they say they are, because it will list the company name. It will list the contact. It'll list an insurance agent, the agency itself. It'll tell you what coverages they have. So that you know that, hey, these people are kind of making the right moves, doing the right things. And it's a lot harder to run from that. Meaning, so, in your instance, $15,000. So, you should definitely reach out to your local authorities though, too, because that's felony range. So they typically take that quite a bit more serious than a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. Not saying they aren't all serious. They are. But something of this amount gets their attention a little bit more. For example, we had an individual here locally that was trying to use a version of our name. Probably shouldn't say it, but they were trying to use a version of our name. This individual had worked for us for about 6 months, went out on their own, and started using a version of our name, representing themselves as a franchise owner of us. That's why the name was somewhat similar. They're representing this to clients. They got a business name through the Secretary of State. So if you did a Secretary of State name check, name came back good. So that's not necessarily a good way to check. But they obviously did not have business insurance for this name. It was a brand new company, so they didn't have a website or any of this. So anyway, time goes on. We obviously had to take them to court for the use of the name. Secretary of State canceled the name and all this. Anyway, fast forward to actually while I was on vacation. So while what day did I shoot that video? I think that I shot that video on a Wednesday. So it was right around that video, actually. It was Wednesday or Thursday. I got a call. I got a message from the office that a sheriff from a different county had called asking for me, and referenced this individual's name. He said, "Hey, I was calling about more information on so-and-so." Interesting. Now, normally I don't conduct business from vacation. This had my attention. So I went ahead and gave him a call. He had said, "Hey, we were on CaseNet. We've had an issue with this individual doing exactly what you're saying." So his wasn't 15. I think his was 10 or 12. Still quite a lot, right? But it has a sheriff, and it wasn't a sheriff's deputy. This was the sheriff of this county was reaching out. He said, he had defrauded one of our constituents or one of our residents, and but because of the amount of this, we are going to really pursue charges here. The two that we had dealt with here locally were less. They were in that $3,000 or $4,000 range, and didn't go anywhere with any sort of prosecution. But now that sheriff's involved, also the Missouri. So I also got a call from an investigator or detective. I'm not sure what her title is, with the Missouri Attorney General's office. So sounds like he might not be an issue for very much longer. But so I say that to say we've got experience. So you can't run a business name check because Missouri, or well, I don't know where you're from, but at least our Secretary of State apparently will issue a name to someone that's not actually running a business in that name. Workman's comp, insurance, ask for their certificate of insurance, check reviews, call referrals, ask for referrals less than a year and more than 5 years. Is probably where I would start. I think we actually, I'm certain I did a video on this exact subject. I think it is actually called "How Not to Get Scammed" or something like that when building a fence. Search the channel. I'm going to go watch it after this to see if the advice I'm giving you today is the same advice I gave in that video. It'd be interesting to see. Sorry you had that experience. Like that's the thing that's going to, as an industry, we've got to figure out how we can crack down on bad actors like this. Because, this makes the industry as a whole look bad, right? So the next fence person you run across, this will be in the back of your mind that you got taken advantage of by one of these people, and you're going to have to be careful, right? Whereas, the next person you come in contact with very well could be a professional fence contractor who can provide all the necessary information, all the necessary certificates, on and on. But because this bad actor took advantage of you, now all of a sudden, again, industry gets a bit of a black eye. We've got to figure this out. I don't have a solution. I don't know how we figure it out, but I do know that it's a problem. And I think everyone pretty universally agrees that it's a problem. I don't want to say that I'm the only person that thinks it is. Nathan and I have had this conversation. It's funny that it came up today because we've had this conversation pretty much every time we meet. It's like, how do we figure this out? How do we separate the professional industry from the bad actors of the scam artists of the industry? I don't know. What we're trying to do, actually. So here's what we're trying to do is look at other industries, how they've figured it out. Now, obviously, electricians and plumbers are a licensed trade. So licensing comes up, but I don't know, when you watch, so I watched a channel called Roger Wakefield. He's a gentleman that's a plumber down in Texas. He actually is the one that got me started in YouTube, channel name and everything, because it was a Roger Wakefield, the expert plumber. Now I think it's just Roger Wakefield because he's branching out into business subject. Anyway, they're fighting, or the last time I saw him speak on this, they were fighting the licensing board of Texas for the plumbing licensing board. Because it was actually like a subset of some other licensing board that wasn't really related to plumbing, and they were creating a whole lot of rules that just made the contractors jump through a lot of unnecessary hoops. They weren't really positive; they were just there. It's like bureaucracy, so it raised prices for all the plumbing clients. So licensing probably isn't it either, but we've got to figure it out. We really do. Brent Mitch, what is up? Seawolf 13 says, "Good morning, Joe." Good morning, Brent. Landmark Creations. Hello, my friend. Hope you're well. Agreed. Back at you. Hope you're well. Let's catch up. Send me a message. Let's catch up, see how things are going for you. Kenny Dugan says, have you plugged Standing University in November? Looking forward to seeing folks and hanging out with some veterans. Very good segue. I appreciate the nudge, the prompt. We are hosting a Standing University here in Springfield in November. Let's double check the dates. I was getting ready to say a date. What's that? 10th and 11th. Okay. That sounded right to me, but sometimes things sound right to me that are not correct. So, November 10th and 11th here in Springfield at the Doubletree Hotel. Do they call it in a convention center? I don't know. It's the Doubletree here in Springfield. They've got some fence that we're going to stain. Typically, we'll bring a trailer or two to clean to kind of represent a deck. We're going to talk about business. I'm going to talk about marketing. Warner's going to talk about culture, company culture. Probably also, I'd like to talk a little bit about scaling a business. I mean, that's something that we're obviously in the middle of. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to come out of this a little bit of a slowdown, ready to grow again, and we should all be prepared for scaling. So anyway, November 10th and 11th, Standing University, Springfield, Missouri. November 9th, we're going to have an open house here at Ozark Fence. Now, the training will not be here. It will be at Doubletree at the hotel. That way, if you can get yourself to the hotel, if you're flying, you fly into Springfield, hotel has a shuttle. Once you're on site, you're good. There's no more traveling involved. We don't have to get you to an off-site location. We don't try to get you to Ozark Fence to do the training. Everything's on site. If you guys went last year, I think you'd agree it's a very nice facility. The hotel is very nice. It's well run, owned by the O'Reilly family or a member of the O'Reilly family. So if you guys are familiar at all with O'Reilly Auto Parts, we are the world headquarters of O'Reilly Auto Parts. One of the family owns this hotel. They keep really good care of it. It's one of their like flagship properties. So anyway, now what Kenny's talking about is hanging out with some veterans. So it's during Veterans Day. So one thing we're talking about, Kenny, I should probably figure out how to get you on the show pretty quick to talk more about this because you're a major part of what I'm getting ready to say. So Kenny brought this up. He said, "Hey, we should really try to do something for veterans since it's running during Veterans Day." Love that idea, Kenny. Basically, we're sponsoring a veteran. Kenny Dugan, myself, Matt Warner said they're in. Caleb and Ashley were the first to say, "Absolutely, tell us what you need. Let's make it happen." What we're going to try to do is find someone that may not have been able to come, who is a veteran, that may not have been able to come because of cost. Right now, the cost to attend is free. The event is absolutely free, but there are still costs associated. There's travel, there's room and board, there's meals, it can get a little expensive, and I absolutely understand that. So what we're going to try to do is find a veteran who may not have been able to come otherwise and make it possible for them to come because the staining industry is an incredible industry. It absolutely really is, and we want to share that with everyone. So this year, since it's on Veterans Day or it's during Veterans Day, we want to give the opportunity to a veteran. So if you are a veteran or if you know a veteran who is interested in coming but may not have been otherwise able to, please reach out and let us know. That's something that we'd like to make possible. And I don't want to jump on I don't want to look like I'm jumping on the bandwagon or riding coattails. This is absolutely Kenny Dugan's idea. Kenny, thank you. I appreciate that idea a lot. November 10th and 11th. We'll have more information leading up to the event. We're capping it at 50 people, though. So we had to move room. And we moved it later in the year to try to make it more available, more accessible to staining contractors. Because last time it was right at the end of the season. Now, it ended up being like hurricane conditions both days. It absolutely poured. But it was right at the end of the season. The weather was still good. So what we're hoping is by delaying it to November, we make it more accessible. So, but the problem is there's less of these classrooms available. So we're moving rooms. The room we're moving to that was available is capped at 60 people. We've got presenters. They're going to bring guests, capping it at 50 people. The first 50 people to sign up are the 50 people that will be attending on November 10th. We had more than 50 people there last year, so it stands to reason this is absolutely going to fill up. So if you thought about coming, if you're interested at all in coming, you need to get signed up. Again, November 10th and 11th at Doubletree. With a bonus, November 9th, here at Ozark Fence, we're having an open house as a company, like a contractor appreciation event, that sort of thing. So, yeah, that is the announcement. But like I said, we're really interested in meeting a veteran who is interested in coming, but wouldn't otherwise be able to financially, and we'd like to figure out how to get them here, cover the cost, the whole thing. So, yeah, Kenny, thank you for that nudge. Also, thank you for taking Jeremy under your wing and showing the industry around, or showing them around the industry a little bit. So Boo Boo was talking about the person that took advantage of them for $15,000. Found them on Facebook. They had pics of great looking work, but found out it was pics from another contractor's work. So have you told me where you're from? Or Tennessee, I believe, right? Because Nashville. So it's not funny, but what's funny is this exact same thing happened with this guy that we had problems with, because he took a bunch of pictures from when he was working with us of work he was, like, his team was building, and he took pictures of like the trucks from certain angles to where you couldn't see that they were orange, like from like the top of the equipment on the back of the trailer, right? You can't tell it's orange. So you see a quad cab, dually, flatbed truck pulling a 20-foot trailer deck over with a piece of equipment. Makes you look legit, right? Took pictures of all this work he was doing, he was taking pictures of our materials as if he was picking up materials. Yeah. So interesting that this playbook is, he may not have created it, it sounds like, but fishy nonetheless. But like I said, business licenses now. So business license though. So while I'm sitting here thinking about this, so he got a name from the Secretary of State that was somewhat close to our name, and all you would, I believe, all we had to do for the new business to get a business license is take the certificate from the Secretary of State awarding us, or not awarding us the name, just showing the registration of the name, to the city hall, and that with a fee got us a business license. So I'm rethinking that, but maybe I'm thinking that they probably wouldn't go through the effort, but they might. Depends. Some scammers are like really good at this. So certificate of insurance should be a pretty good indicator. Now, not necessarily so they could take that same certificate from the Secretary of State with their name to an insurance agent. I mean, at that time they're registered with the state, so they could go to the insurance company to get the certificate. But the thing is, so insurance companies have seen this, right? They've seen contractors that paid a small down payment to get the certificate, just like a generic certificate, cancel their insurance so they could show that insurance certificate to homeowners again to try to run this scam on them. So what most insurance agencies do is, if you're new in the market, you have to pay for a year up front. Now, that absolutely makes it incredibly difficult for new contractors to get insurance, because they've got to come up with a year's worth of insurance, and that could be, it depends on the business, but it could be 5 or 6 figures. Like our insurance bill is 6-figure insurance bill. So, but if they're going to outlay that much money, then again, it stands to reason that they're more invested in keeping, in actually being a professional business. That's tough though, using pictures of another contractor's work. Also, years in business can be deceiving. Well, that's true. Well, okay. So Roger's point is fair on the other hand. Mark Olson is technically a new contractor in Florida, but he has years and years, decades of experience. So you're right that probably isn't a good indicator either, right? So if you saw someone, if you had someone that only had a few years of experience or referrals in your area, I guess that just asks that kind of gives you the opportunity to ask the question of why, right? Because I think if you ask Mark, then he would explain to you that they're part of a larger company in a different area. That's a fair point, though. That absolutely is. Brent said in the 90s it was very prestigious to have the Better Business Bureau sticker on your office. Yeah, that's the thing is they've done a great marketing job of getting people to believe that they are like the clearinghouse of contractors or just businesses in general. I feel like the public thinks that they like do a deep dive into these businesses to make sure they're legitimate and make sure they're good people and this, that, and the other, and they really don't. My understanding of, again, my only experiences with our regional Better Business Bureau, but I mean, you pay the fee, and as long as you don't get negative reviews, now I don't even know that they check CaseNet, to be honest with you, because there's contractors in the area that hold A+ ratings with the Better Business Bureau that also have had some bumps in the road, maybe not lately, but in their history. So, I don't know. Makes you wonder. Braden posted the link of the fence scam video. Check that out. You are very welcome, Boo Boo. That even sounds weird to say that. Like, I don't. Okay. Exact same situation here. Thought he had all the equipment and all. Yeah. So that's the thing is like maybe there's like a scam artist playbook where you work for a contractor long enough to where you can take the pictures and kind of get a feel. So this particular person had moved up from Arkansas. So, and now here's, I got right. And so I was thinking about this. I was like, wait a minute. It's like I checked references. So I called this lady who, because it said so-and-so fence company, this lady's name, owner, and said that he had presented himself as basically running the operations of the company, the productions manager. So he's like, I've installed the fence. It hasn't been recently, but I have installed the fence. Then I went to production management, to project management, running the crews, overseeing all this stuff. I was like, well, okay, that's interesting. We don't need a project manager right now, but we do need another crew. So we could have you train under this crew just in how we build fence, and then get you a new truck and this other stuff and start you as your own crew. No problem. Checked references. So anyway, listed this lady's name, this company. I looked up the company. The company existed. It wasn't the same phone number, but it was herself. It was something on the reference indicated that was her cell phone. Like, okay, that's my cell phone is not out on the internet, so it stands to reason hers wouldn't be either. So I called this person up, and oh yeah, great guy. I hate that we had to lose him. If you ever hear of him coming back to Arkansas, please let me know. I need him back. Our company's going to be worse for it. Just like on and on and on. I mean, not like in an over the top way. Like she sold it super well. I'm like, okay, well, what kind of fence do you guys do? And this and that. And what she said jived with the website. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I see you guys do a lot of residential. Okay, I want to make sure that he's good on residential and this and that. Oh, yeah. Yep, absolutely. He was our residential guy. Ran the residential crews and this and that. Okay, all right. Hired him. Come to find out, it was his wife. He had given us his wife's cell phone number. And it's like, what do you do? Okay, so now that I'm thinking back on it, I should have called the office number, I guess. But they didn't give me his wife's name. They gave me her name. So he probably got ran out of that company. He knew enough about it to say, this is the company, this is the owner's name, but give his wife's cell phone number instead of this lady's cell phone number. I don't know. I guess call the business Google number and then just ask to speak to her, leave a message that you're confirming employment. I don't know. There's all sorts of creative ways to get scammed, apparently. But that was our situation, and he's still getting chased. This was probably 2 years ago. that this whole thing started, and he's still out there at it. He keeps moving around. He keeps getting further away from Springfield. So it was 2 in Springfield. Then there was 1 in Ozark, so a different county. So he kind of got smart because the counties, Greene County was looking into it or something. Well, then he went to Christian County so that they wouldn't have like direct access into records or whatever. So then he ran the scam in Christian County. Then he left and went. Last I heard, he was up around Sedalia. So anyway, that is my experience with scammers. No one is immune from it. I mean, you could certainly try to do as much due diligence as possible, but I'm telling you, if there's someone that is motivated to do it, I don't know, I don't know how you protect against it. I do know how you protect against it. So I don't want to talk too much on this subject because it's still kind of an infant. It's an idea that's still in its infancy. So I don't know. I want to clear me talking about it with this person, at least in vague terms, because I don't want to give the concept away and then have someone else jump into that concept, because I think it's going to change how this works. It basically it protects both sides of the transaction financially. It protects both the homeowner and the contractor from each other, really. So this company sits in the middle of the transaction. Yeah. Let me get better clarity on what I should and should not say about this, because I don't want to ruin this idea for this person. So this person is doing this idea, but I don't want to give anyone else a head start on it, because I think it's a great idea. And I think when they bring it to market, it won't change anything right away. I think the concept it's not a concept that's been used in the fencing industry. It's been used elsewhere to protect two parties in a transaction. But I think it's far enough away from normal that it's going to take a few years to make it normal within the industry. So it won't set the industry on fire right away, but I think it will. I think when we look back in 10 years, we'll wonder how we didn't do business with this thing. I really do. So anyway, just know it doesn't help your situation now, and I fully understand that. But know that there might be, there might be some light at the end of the tunnel. All right, guys, we are getting close to wrapping this thing up. We've got about 15 minutes left on the allotted schedule. I kind of like to get out on time because it's Labor Day weekend, and I like to go see the fam and do family stuff and all that. But, oh, man, I left my little fidget thing. I lost my fidget thing. That's okay. I don't need to fidget with it. It's actually a piece. Oh, I have it back anyway. It's actually a piece of a camera. So it's like this little... goes on one of the A7. What do we have? A7R4? Yeah, this goes on that one. And it screws. So camera body here. I don't know if I want to. So it goes on the side of it and it screws into it so it holds it. And then you run your cables. So it's like for HDMI and audio. So your cable goes through this and then plugs in. This goes to the camera so it doesn't pull, like the cables don't pull out. Yeah. It also works as like a fidget spinner. It's not a fidget spinner. It's just something for me to fidget with while I'm talking, because I like to be doing something. Anyway, all right, guys. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, comments, leave them in the comments below. I can be here for a few more minutes. Or if you guys are good to go, I'm good to go as well. I'm not going to argue with you. We talked about Amazon giveaway. We talked about where we reviewed the Week in the Life video for next week. It's coming up on Monday. We also talked about the what do we call it? Podcast showdown. Woo-hoo! Between Fence Industry Podcast and My Fence Life. Congratulations, Dan Wheeler, with the Fence Industry Podcast, eking out a win by $135.24. If you guys don't listen to me on a podcast, you should check it out. I believe it's available anywhere podcasts are listened to. I know it's available on Apple and Spotify and Anchor at a minimum. There's other places, but those are 3 places I've listened to it on, depending on where I am. So anyway, yeah. Brent Minch says, hey, you have a fantastic weekend, my man. Brent, you as well. We need to catch up. We definitely need. I haven't talked to you in person ever, but we haven't talked on the gaming console quite a while. But all right. Yeah, what else we talk about? Oh, so if you want to listen to me on podcast, listen to me on podcast. Let's do this. Let's see if we got any more. Oh man, I should rehearse how to do this. Let's find 5-star things. 5-star reviews. So, okay, we're going to search Joe Everest. Picture of me means it's mine. We're going to go down. 5 stars. See all. Getting better. So I have a feeling this might be related to M. Blanc, actually. Joe really is a fence expert. Come down to Louisiana and do my fence with some of those Postmaster Plus posts. Okay, Louisiana, like, okay. And very specifically mentioned Postmaster Plus post. Icing on the cake, the smoking gun, if you will. Hashtag MFL15, which is the discount code used on OZFence.store during the podcast showdown. Suspicious. But anyway, I appreciate it. I really do. I mean, any 5-star reviews are good 5-star reviews. If you guys do listen on podcast, I'm told that 5-star reviews are great and they are a great way of showing thanks for the podcast or something. I'm supposed to ask you for 5. No, I'm not supposed to ask you for 5 stars. I think that's against terms of service. I'm supposed to ask you to share your experience. No, it must be okay on there because every podcast I listen to asks for 5-star reviews. Where is it that it's not okay? I don't know. Google maybe. I think Google you can't specifically ask for 5-star. Yeah. So don't do that. I'm not asking you to leave me a 5-star on Google. Leave honest reviews on Google. But I can't ask you for a 5-star review on the podcast. So it means the world. I'd really appreciate it. So we're trying to grow that. Just get the good word of the fence industry out there on the podcast. Hey-o, Dylan Thomas Gorley. Speaking of somebody I'm getting ready to see later on. Dylan, I'm going to see you. Dylan, his wife, and me and Taylor and kids are going to go have, or maybe not the kids. Maybe not the kids. I don't know. I think might be, I don't know. Might be I think this is a grown-up dinner, actually. We're having dinner at Hanode. So, yep, I'm going to go have dinner this evening. So, Dylan, I will see you in like, I don't know, 4.5 hours or something. So, all right, guys. Appreciate it. Don't see any more questions or comments. As Dylan says, have a great weekend, everybody. If you guys do have any questions or comments, leave in the comments below. I still get notified, even if you leave comments after this live is over, if you're watching during the replay. Until next time, Joe Everest, the fence expert, reminding you that good fences make good neighbors. I'll see you next time.